Welcome to the show. Now please strap in for the truth and remember the words of the great Tom Cruise.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Now welcome to Off Topic on Porn.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, O-Toppers, wherever this episode finds you. We are glad to have you. As always, I am your host, Rob, and we are, again, always privileged. I am to be joined by my co-host, Russell. Russell, what's happening?
Man, nothing but good, Rob.
Nothing but good.
We're getting ready to enjoy yet another rest of the month here, so which we always are, right?
We always are.
But yeah, things are going real well. Hope they are for you too.
Yeah, they're going good. Just
Good.
another day. We're another day, another dollar, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
we're loving it. So today we're gonna have some fun today, and we're gonna kind
All
of
right.
just talk about our different TV genres and different shows that we like. And here's why I say that, because I got to be honest, there's some stuff in the modern day that I like, but I know when my kids call it doom scrolling. Okay, when I guess that's a term when you're scrolling Facebook or YouTube or whatever. I don't do it because I don't have social media other than handling the podcast. Okay, but they do.
Is that like scrolling through the shorts and stuff
I
like
guess
that?
that's what they do. They like just scroll and they call it
Yeah,
doom.
yeah. They
Okay.
have a way
Yeah.
where it's just an endless supply of them.
Endless
It seems like.
supply. But here's the thing I noticed when I'm on Netflix or I'm on Prime or I'm on these streaming channels. What I
Yeah.
notice is a lot of the stuff, like even the series that come out on Amazon Prime, and there's some good ones that I do like, but I always find myself going back to the nostalgic, to the old favorites that I have. And it's not like from a few years back, it's from way back. So I'll start the
Yeah.
conversation. Well, one of the ones I always go to is one of my all-time favorites is the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh yeah.
And
Some people probably don't even know what that is these days.
probably not, but it is probably that show was just classic. It
Yeah.
was funny. It was clever. By the way, it has some of the best. Now, again, I can't say that because it's subjective. Because my wife does not necessarily like the music because she doesn't like bluegrass a lot. But to me,
Okay.
they had some of the best music ever, and there was always a great lesson to learn. Andy was a great father to Opie, and there was always,
Right.
and Don Knotts was at his just to me his comedic prime
Yeah.
when we were, but I mean, just such a great show. And I love it. And I will watch as many seasons as Amazon Prime will give me. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And I will just let it go. Like when I'm working and I'm, doing all the things that I do in my office and stuff like that. I'll just let that play. You know what I'm saying? It's so playable regardless of wherever you find yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you have
Yeah.
your favorite episodes, but it's such a good show. And I mean, I know all those different episodes and I have all my favorites and stuff like that, but it's really really good. So there's one from me. So give me one of yours.
Well, I mean, I like that one. Of course, there's so many in the 60s and 70s
Yeah.
that I could name. Um, so we talked several weeks back when I was visiting there
Yeah.
on our podcast. We talked about Star Trek and stuff. So I'll exclude that one from here.
Okay. Yeah. By the
I
way,
really
if you
did.
want to
I
hear about
really,
that, you can go back in our archive. You can go back. You can scroll to, I don't know which episode it was. It's probably I think 4 or 5. And we talked. It was our sci-fi episode. And we
yeah, it was the
talked.
fifth or sixth
It's the
one, I
fifth.
think,
It might have
actually.
been, yeah. And we had my sons on, and we talked about the difference. We didn't pit them against each other. We just talked about the Star Wars and Star Trek. So if you want to hear
Right.
Russell talk about Star Trek and his love for Star Trek and his expertise on it, in fact, you can go back and you can listen to that one.
Particularly the original
The
series.
original one, yeah.
Which was in the 60s. But another one that I like, and there's a host of shows I like. Um, Actually, let me go back to toward the beginning of the decade. I always enjoyed the Dick Van Dyke Show.
That is such a good. I really, you know what? I watched
I
that
mean, Dave
one as
Van
well.
Dyke is
Oh,
and his
such.
brother Jerry.
Yeah, they're
They are
both.
they were well. Dick Van Dyke is still with us
Yes,
actually.
yes,
Jerry passed away a few years ago, but they
yeah.
are
So
they were
talented.
phenomenal.
You know, it's interesting to me. My wife has said this when we've watched Singing in the Rain, or we've watched some of
Hmm.
those old Disney movies where people are singing, like John Davidson, and they're singing and they're
Hmm.
dancing. She said, when you were an actor back in that time, probably between the probably 40s to the 60s, you actually
Yes.
had to be extremely talented. There was
Yeah.
no auto tune. There was no what you had to be able to act, and you had to be able to sing, and you had to be able to
Yeah.
dance.
You
You
were a performer and an entertainer.
you really
Absolutely.
were. I mean, you had people like Fred Astaire. You had people
Yes.
like John Davidson. You had people. I mean, you had to be like Leslie Ann Warren. You had to be Fred McMurray. Even I mean,
Oh yeah.
what a talent.
Yeah. My Three Sons. That was a
Oh
good one in the
yes, My
'60s.
Three Sons. I mean, just
Yeah.
so well rounded. And when they were in movies, they were Fred McMurray's in musicals. So talented, um, in all facets of acting and entertaining. That it was,
Hmm.
it was just crazy. Now, I'm not saying people aren't talented, but I'm not sure that there are some actors who are very talented, but I just don't see the quality and the caliber as there were back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get completely what you're saying. Yes, there's a lot of people that they're actors, and that's what they are. And there are some good actors around today.
Yeah,
There are some very good actors actually. But um, Dick Van Dyke, since we're
yeah,
talking about the Dick
yeah,
Van Dyke Show,
yeah.
and Mary Tyler Moore,
Yeah, she was very
and
good actress.
uh, Maury Amsterdam,
Yes,
who
yes,
was in the office there,
yep,
and Rose Marie.
yes. Such good
And
quality
who was
actors.
the guy that? Now there were cameo appearances
Oh, so many. Yeah.
by Carl Reiner,
Hmm.
who was the one who produced the show, I believe.
Yes.
And gosh, what was the guy's name who played Dick Van Dyke's boss?
Mel. Oh, yes. What was?
Yes,
I know you're.
I
You're.
forgot his actual name, and
Yes,
I'm
but he
sorry
is
that I'm forgetting
so
it. But
talented.
that was any of those people could have had their own show.
Oh yeah,
They
absolutely. That
were all that
ensemble was
talented,
just.
and they're all on this one show,
Yeah.
and no wonder it was so fantastic.
Yes.
And it really was.
No,
And some of my
absolutely.
favorite episodes were when, well, I like the, there was one where Jerry Van Dyke was a guest star,
Yeah.
and he had a split personality thing going on.
Yes.
And when he was very talented, and his character was supposedly very talented, but when he was awake and in his right mind, he didn't have the confidence
You're
to
right.
play and to
Yes.
coordinate well.
Yeah.
But when he was sleepwalking,
Yeah. He was.
he was like this great entertaining guy. It was a well done
Oh,
episode.
and everything was there was the stuff that was written was just so clever, well
Oh
done,
yeah,
clever. It
yeah,
didn't have to be raunchy or anything. It was just well done and clever. You know what I mean? It was just so
yes,
done. And the stuff that was campy. So, you know, talking about well done and clever, and then you talk about the campy. One of the ones that I watched, I loved as a kid, was was Batman.
yeah. I was going to mention that one a while ago, and then I switched to Dick Van Dyke. The Batman, the '60s Batman
Batman was
series was
oh,
it's still one of my favorites.
I mean,
Yeah,
and you knew. I
I'm
mean, I
with you.
remember at one point Batman's on a conveyor belt, and you see the saw spinning because it's going to cut him in half, and you
Yeah,
can tell it's cardboard. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? But you didn't care. And I love the fight scenes with the thwap, zow, zap,
Oh yeah,
all
oh
that
yeah.
stuff. But I remember one of my favorite memories that I have. It was so funny because my mom didn't watch it all that. She didn't care that we watched it, but Batman wasn't her thing. You know what I'm saying? But we were watching the Batman. They made a movie. I don't even remember the movie, but
Yeah, of that was based on that
it was
series.
based on that series. And so there's
Yeah,
two
yeah.
things from that
I
movie.
actually okay. I own on DVD the series, and
Yes.
I own the movie also.
Okay.
So yeah,
So here's the thing, and I love this
and I've
about.
watched it.
Oh yeah, I love that. So there's two things about that movie that remember to this day that's hilarious. The with the campiness and the corniness, and that was when the Riddler gave them a riddle, and it was you know um what kind of person is always in a hurry, and they said a Russian, And
Oh,
and from that, Robin gets a Russian's going to slip on a banana peel and break his neck. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
It's just as a stretch
it was
and a
such a
half.
stretch. Well, then when they're
But that
doing,
stuff is it was
oh,
part of the humor.
it was
Yeah.
part of the humor. And then at one point, um, they had basically taken all the water out of everybody, and basically everybody was dehydrated, and they were going to rehydrate them. And out
Yeah,
of
I
his
remember
cape,
that one. That was and they rehydrated them and they
yeah,
ended up speaking different languages.
right. And so out of
That
his cape,
that didn't get that part right.
right, out of his cape, Batman brings and I'm using air quotes here, the bat hose. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's
So,
everything's a bat something.
right. And my mom walks through. She just happens to be walking through at this point when he's doing it, and she had stopped. And he brings out the bat hose, and she looks at me and my brother, and she goes, "Hey, we have a bat hose. It's hooked up out in the garden." And so, because the bat hose that he pulls out, I mean, Russell, it was the most garden hose looking thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely
I mean,
right.
they
With
went
the
down. I
handle.
promise you, they went down to Kmart and got that. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
I
saying?
remember. I
Oh,
remember seeing it.
it was so funny. I mean, we laughed. I mean, she got the biggest laugh out of us, and so anytime, like when we were kids and we were playing, we would always, my dad would spray us with the hose, or we were having a
Yeah.
sprinkler, or whatever. We would always get the bat hose out because we had a bat hose,
Okay.
and it was
Yeah, and now I remember on the movie, Catwoman was Lee Merriweather.
yes,
So, but Julie Newmar was the one that it was Julie Newmar and also Eartha Kitt were the Catwomen
yes,
on the original series.
yep,
And they it was always Burgess Meredith for the Penguin, and boy,
yes.
he did a good Penguin.
Oh, he really did.
And Caesar Romero
As
did
the
the
Joker,
Joker.
yes,
And a lot of people don't know this, but his famous mustache, it was still there. They really covered it up well
yeah.
with makeup.
But you could see it if you looked.
And
If you
if
looked,
you look really close,
you
but
could
I
see
mean,
it.
most of us didn't know or care.
Yeah.
We didn't
Oh, we
even
didn't
think
care.
about it back
Yeah,
in the
no.
day.
Yeah.
And then the Riddler, that was another one that was
Oh,
played by two different people. It was Frank Gorshin and
yeah.
John Aston, who was also on the Addams Family as the father.
Yes.
So
It was so, when I say well done, it was so well done in its campiness, and they did not take themselves. They really almost brought back in that day. Now Batman has since taken on a much darker undertone. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
With DC Comics and
yeah,
everything else. But
yeah.
back in that day, and back in the 50s, 60s, Batman was thwap, zow, zoink, and all that other stuff. I mean, they
Yeah.
basically pulled a comic book
Yeah.
kind of onto the big screen, and it was
Yes.
and I love when they would throw the batarangs, and it was just tied to a piece of string
On the wall.
on the wall.
They would crawl up the wall,
The wall, which is literally they
and
just
then
turned the camera
somebody would make a
sideways.
cameo appearance out of the window. And yeah, I mean, it was such a great shtick all the way
They
around.
did not take themselves too seriously, and I love that about them.
Yeah.
I think that's why anytime people always ask who's the best Batman, and they're talking about movies, Adam West is always usually somewhere in that conversation
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah, sure.
he was Batman.
Yeah.
As funny as that was, he was Batman,
Yeah.
and the Batmobile they had that couldn't go over, what was it, 25 miles an hour, even though they made it look like it because they just sped
Yeah,
up
it's
the
going.
film. Yeah,
Well, and I'll say this about the series there, and also the Superman comics
yeah,
and in the superhero comics in general. So up before then and up until and through that time and even into the 70s and all, there was an understanding that these characters were to represent the ultimate and absolute good, with very few exceptions.
right,
And that's how they were presented. There was good versus evil, and they were on the side of good. And while evil maybe brought them complications, good always prevailed over evil. As our culture has slid down the tubes a little bit,
yeah,
so have the manifestations of those characters. And so
sure,
now we've got you know darker representations of Batman, darker representations of the other superheroes. And the idea behind that, they say, is it brings more humanity to them and it makes them more relatable. And but see, my thinking, I'll speak for myself. I don't go to TV and comics and stuff like that so I can see more of the bad things of the real life. I go to look for something that might feed hope into me that,
right,
hey, things, as bad as things are getting here, or as bad as things are sometimes, there is a higher, better good that we can hope for
Sure.
and that we should attain to, even
Yeah.
more importantly.
Right.
And, but
Well, to that point though,
not
that's where
everybody's, a lot of people don't see it that way.
well, yeah. But see,
And
the thing
I
is,
think that's unfortunate.
you you one of the things that further proves your point is when we started getting the anti-heroes. They're not the bad guys, but they're the anti-heroes. So you get people like
Yeah.
the Punisher,
Yeah. Yeah.
or even Batman becomes his own anti-hero because
Yeah.
they basically, and that the definition of that anti-hero is they're not a villain. They're not going around trying to hurt people, but they're not
They're
doing.
just not good guys.
They're just not. They're not the good guys.
Yeah.
That are doing it the right way. They're doing it in whatever way is necessary. So if they
Right.
have to bend the rules, break the rules, whatever, to so basically it's the ends justifying the means
Yeah.
because they got the
People
right
want their
outcome.
superheroes today to
Yeah,
be like them,
right.
duplicitous
Yeah,
and inconsistent.
sure. And that's and we see that. Hey,
Yes,
and
no
and
question.
the guys
And
that
that's one
like
of the reasons I love the era of the 60s and its programming.
right. Well, no,
Um,
right. They did the right thing regardless, and it was
that's
hard,
right.
even if it
Principle always came first.
right,
People today don't even know what principle is
right,
oftentimes. So the and so that's why you don't meet very many people of principle these days.
right.
Um, moving to other things,
Yeah.
we can't talk about this without mentioning Gilligan's Island.
No, right. A 3-hour tour, not a 3-hour podcast,
That's
but at least a 3-hour
right.
tour, right?
That's right. Well, and prior to that, there was for Bob Denver there was another show called Dobie Gillis. Are you familiar with
Oh,
that one?
I love Dobie Gillis.
Yeah, a
We
lot
used
of
to watch
people
that.
don't know at all what that is,
That was a
but
show we got to watch just before we went to bed. Like that was the show, and we watched, and then
oh,
we went to bed right
yeah.
because it was on. Now for us, we didn't get to see the original. We watched it on Nick at Night. So
Okay,
it
yeah.
was on Nick at
So
Night when
you
Nick,
watched it in syndication
we
then?
watched it in syndication.
Yeah, of course you would have to,
Right.
because I wasn't. Neither I or you were alive, I think, during the Dobie Gillis days. But
But
yeah.
that was such a good. I love Dobie
Oh
Gillis.
yeah,
Such a
yeah.
good show. And
And
Bob
then
Denver was
from
awesome
that
in
era,
that show.
there was Hazel, there was Father Knows
Yes,
Best.
Father Knows Best.
But there was I remember watching Dennis the Menace
Yeah, with Mr.
and
Wilson.
Leave
Yeah.
It to Beaver and all of those really good wholesome
Love
shows.
Leave It to Beaver. And actually,
Yeah.
Father Knows Best is where Eleanor Donahue would.
Mm.
I don't know that she got her start there, but she did. That was a major role, and I think from there is where Andy Griffith saw her and picked her up, and she was on the first season of Andy Griffith. Was because of
Yeah,
Father Knows Best.
yeah.
So
So Gilligan's Island, the characters are patterned after the concept of the seven deadly sins. I think you know that.
I don't know that I knew that. That's it.
You didn't know that? Yeah, they were patterned
Wow.
after that.
Huh. Well, when you think about it, I mean, it makes sense.
And some of them don't represent what some people might think that they represent.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. But
And there's no point in going into all that because
no, no.
we it'll take too much time. Maybe we can come
We can,
back and
hey, look,
do
we can
another
pick apart
episode on that. But
Gilligan's
it's a
Island.
fascinating
That
discussion.
is well, I think we need to for that.
Yeah.
If you'd like us to go through that with you, again, comment. Let us know
Yeah, let us know.
in the comments because that's something we can do. If that's something you guys want to hear about, I'll dive deep and research, and Russell already knows, and we'll have a conversation. We'll pull that all apart for you. The story you don't know about Gilligan's Island, So,
Absolutely.
but yeah,
And there was the other sci-fi show that was there were other ones like My Favorite Martian and all that are from
oh
that
yeah,
general era. But then there was, of course, Lost in Space. We
okay,
can't and that one, a lot of money was spent to make that one successful, and to put it on the air, and it was very popular.
my
Very
dad liked
popular.
that one, and he got me
Yeah,
and my
it was
brother
a good.
into
I
that
mean,
one.
it was a good show.
Well, he watched it when he was a
Between
kid,
it
and
and
he
Star
told
Trek, I
us
still
about it.
like Star Trek better, but a lot of
Yeah,
people disagree with me on that, and that's fine because both shows were very
yeah.
entertaining for their day back then.
Well, and my dad watched it when he was a kid, and then so when it came again, Nick at Night, when it came
Yeah.
on, he told us about it. So me and my brother watched it, and we really enjoyed it. Now, here's the thing. So I don't know if you've seen it, but Netflix did a remake of Lost in Space.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm gonna say
I
this.
did not. I haven't seen it.
Okay, it's not. Now I'm gonna say this. please, again, you can comment. We'll take your comments. Okay. I'm going to say this. The remake of that Netflix did shared the name Lost in Space. They had a robot and they
Yeah.
had the family, but the family had a different dynamic. It wasn't the
Yeah,
same.
so it really wasn't the same
But
thing.
now, I'm going to say this though. It was okay to me. It was
No,
not
okay.
bad, but it was.
I don't generally like remakes.
Now here's
They
the thing,
did a remake of the movie The Music Man.
right?
It just, if you hadn't seen the first one, it would have been okay. But because the first one is out there,
Yeah.
it's just not all that fab.
Right. Well, see, and I think the thing is, like, for example, on this one, they
Uh-huh.
redid the robot. Okay, the robot looks nothing like.
Well, you wouldn't expect it to.
Right. Well, that's the thing. So you start to go, okay, well, this is different. The way that they have the
Sure.
family dynamic, the doctor is in the newest one, is played by Parker Posey. So
Mhm.
while the doctor, it's a woman, there's a whole, like, she's got a whole different thing going on. You really do not like her. See, the doctor in Lost in Space, well, you didn't like him. He's a little sneaky. He's a little, he wasn't this really, where you're like, please, I would be okay if you shoot him out of the cannon or just jettison him out. He wasn't that bad. This one, they've said, hey, okay, we're really going to do our own. We're going to have all the people, but there's going to be a whole different thing going on here. And if you watch it and say, okay, I'm not going to put it side by side with the old one. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
It's not bad. It's not a bad watch.
Okay.
So,
All right.
now I will
I
say
probably
this.
won't watch it, but okay.
It was okay. I mean, again, like I
It's
said,
it's
not
just like
original.
the rant I went on our discussion about Star Trek. I have
yeah.
no use for the new. I'm sure the new one is really great with its effects and really great with some of its acting and all that. I'm just not interested. When you start rewriting stuff,
Yeah.
you're not respecting the original
source
artistry,
material.
and I just don't have a
Yeah.
use for that.
No, I get you.
Go make your own new thing. Then I'll respect that.
No, I
But
get it.
but trying to just make a bunch of money off of something that somebody else already did,
Yeah.
and tweaking it according to your liking. I mean, anybody can do something like that. I just don't care for it. That's my personal
No, I
perspective, but
think
I
the
just
thing
don't
is,
care for it.
what I've noticed though too, Russell, and I think you and I have had this conversation, and it goes back to TV shows and movies too, is there's not a lot of new stuff coming out.
No,
Everything
you
is
know what?
let's remake stuff.
I have a friend who is in Kenya, who I watch a lot of her music reactions, and she also does movie reactions on Patreon. And so I have made some recommendations. I made a recommendation to her. Do you remember the movie Arthur?
Like the old one with Dudley
Yeah, the
Moore?
one with Dudley Moore.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that they had made one that had Russell Brand in it.
Oh yeah, they remade it. Yeah.
And so
Did
I
not
made
get a
that
good
recommendation
reaction.
to her, and I didn't know, so I didn't know to distinguish, and she watched the Russell Brand one,
Oh
and
no.
it's not bad,
Yeah, but it's not.
but
It's not the
the
Dudley
Dudley
Moore.
Moore one either.
No.
Dudley Moore, Liza Minnelli,
Yeah.
and so I and a host of other people were commenting when she put that out. Hey, watch the other one. It's better than this one.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
yeah, that's what remakes do.
Yeah, I very seldom have seen I don't know, and in fact, again, comment if you want to tell me. But I have not seen a remake that I'm aware of where I like the remake better
Yeah,
than the original.
I'm with you, brother. It's almost like it's almost an anti-plagiarism
Yeah.
gear that's inside of us, right?
Right. Well,
Well, listen, I wanted to also point out there's other things that came out of that era
Yep.
that were good and that some people probably haven't even heard of. There was a Marlo Thomas show called That Girl.
I've seen it. I've seen That Girl. And
Okay, good.
Gidget's on
There
that
was
level.
there was Bewitched. Remember?
There was
There was
Bewitched.
I Dream of Jeannie.
Yes.
There that Gunsmoke was alive in all
Oh,
of that.
Hey, I love and the
And boy,
Rifleman and
Gunsmoke. I mean,
Bonanza
one of the and Bonanza,
and
Dan Blocker and Lauren
oh
Green
yeah.
and
Oh
company,
my
and
gosh, Michael Landon.
James Arness on Gunsmoke, and
Yep. And the
Amanda Blake
Rifleman.
and
I
Ken
love
Curtis and all the rest of them.
I love I think the Rifleman has got one of the best.
Rifleman
intro-
was awesome, man.
That's got one of the
Chuck
best
Connors. Yeah.
best opening scenes where he just fires that rifle off so quick.
And the Big
then,
Valley, which is where
Oh, yeah.
one of the very early things that Oh gosh, who's the dirty hairy guy?
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood. Yeah.
And then the guy who was the fall guy was in that too. What's his name?
Oh yeah, Lee Majors.
Lee Majors. Yeah, he was in that.
Yeah.
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 So
And forgive me if I'm getting some of these westerns mixed up, but I mean,
I don't think Clint
this
Eastwood was in
some
the
of this
Big
stuff
Valley.
is before
I
was
don't,
before my time.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
I don't think Clint Eastwood was in the Big Valley, was he?
What's that?
Was Clint Eastwood in the Big Valley?
Was it not him? Was he
No.
in something else? It was
Yeah.
then it was in one. You may be right about that. I may be off on that,
Yeah.
and it may be that one of the other westerns. But he did. Let me think here for a moment.
Because Lee Majors played one of the brothers, and the other brother was he dressed all in
That's
black.
right.
But it wasn't Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
I don't remember what his
Yeah.
name was, but it
Yeah.
was
There was oh gosh. Now my inability to recall names is starting to surface.
Google it.
Yeah, right. That's what I have to do. But
I do that all
yeah,
the
okay.
time.
You're right. Clint Eastwood was in one of the other westerns of the day, not the Big Valley. I'm trying to remember what it was. Maybe it'll come to me. Maybe it won't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it had Barbara Stanwyck in it, and
Barbara Stanwyck, I think, was in the Big Valley.
was she the Big Valley? Maybe I'm getting it conflated with another TV show that I'm just totally not
movie,
remembering, but I remember
or
him.
movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then of course Clint Eastwood was in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and some of the later westerns, spaghetti westerns, and so forth. But also in the '60s, I think we saw the beginning of the Brady Bunch then.
Oh
and
yeah, such a good one.
The what else was I thinking a few moments ago? I don't know. There were a lot of different good shows during that era. We need to talk sometime about the comedy shows and other shows like police shows and all of the 1970s.
Yeah.
Oh, and then back in the 60s there were shows like Laugh-In and the Smothers Brothers.
Oh yeah.
The comedy
Absolutely,
variety shows.
Oh, yeah, the variety shows were great.
Yeah.
What was the Hee Haw?
Well, Hee Haw was 70s.
True. Oh yeah, you're right. It was a little bit, but still,
But
that's part of that. Those ones you were talking about, the
funny
Smuckers
stuff.
Brothers, those stuff gave way to and made way for things like Hee Haw and stuff like that. Hee Haw's hilarious.
Yeah.
By the way, Minnie Pearl.
Oh yeah.
All those. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about it. We'll have to do a '70s discussion sometime. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, everybody can tell us what they want to what they want to hear us kind of talk about and get on, and we can take those on and have that discussion. So comment and let us know what you want to hear us talk about, and we'll take those on.
Let me before we sign off here, I got to find out.
I looked it up. Clint Eastwood wasn't on the Big. He wasn't on the Big Valley. I looked it up while you were talking. Clint Eastwood was not on the Big Valley. I don't know what he was on, what you're talking about, but he was not on the Big Valley.
No, you're right. Now that I think about it, he wasn't. That was I was thinking of Lee Majors.
Yes, Lee Majors was on the Big Valley. I don't know what he was on.
Well, I'm going to see if I can find out here real quick.
Like Low Plains Drifter.
Otherwise,
High Plains Drifter. What is it? Whatever that High Plains Drifter.
High Plains Drifter.
That was a Clint Eastwood movie. And we can just go through all the Clint Eastwood movies too. I mean, that's another one we could do.
Well, this isn't a movie. This is yeah. We could do that sometime because man, he put a bunch of good ones out.
He did. He's got some of the most recognizable lines too.
Yeah. Especially like in Dirty Harry and stuff. I mean, gets quoted all the time.
Seriously, incorrectly, mind you, but still.
And
quoted.
in the Every Which Way But Loose series.
Yes. So.
He was in.
Was
Hang
it
'em
Rawhide?
High. Huh?
Was it Rawhide?
Rawhide. That was it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah. He was in Rawhide.
That was it. I don't.
So, right now, though, it took us so long to get it. People were screaming in the comments. It was Rawhide. It was. You know what I'm saying?
No,
they were screaming at the screen, probably going, "It's Rawhide."
You can do that, but give us a chance to at least figure it out before get to the end before you do that.
That's right. They're like, "No, it was not the Big Valley. It was Rawhide." They're probably yelling at the screen right now, going, "You guys are dummies. It was Rawhide." So, but anyway. Let us know your favorite 60s and 70s shows, and
Yeah,
we'll talk to you in
it
the
was
comments.
Rawhide. And here's what's embarrassing about that for me. I actually have the entire series of Rawhide in my library with a picture of him
Right.
on the
On the front. Yeah,
box.
no, yeah, exactly.
So, man, getting old's not fun.
No, it's
But
not.
that's what it was. And also the theme from Rawhide is one of my favorites.
Oh,
And
yeah,
you'd have thought
exactly.
that I would have. Anyway, there was
Yeah.
no mnemonic device that was going to work. But yeah, it was
No.
Rawhide that I was thinking of.
There we go. Well, to all our O-toppers, let us know in the comments what your favorites are, and we'll talk to you about it. Happy to have those fun discussions, and we'll talk about them. And real quick, we just want to let you know one of our sponsors on Off Topic on Point is Mountain Mowers LLC. So if you are in the Tri-Counties area, they are the best local experts for keeping your yard looking its best. Whether it's mowing, trimming, or full lawn care, Mountain Mowers has you covered with reliable service and a personal touch. They know every yard is different, and they treat yours like their own. If you're ready for a lawn that stands out with without all the hassle, call Mountain Mowers LLC today at 276-730-8230. Mountain Mowers, they cut your grass, or they cut grass, not corners. All right, we love Mountain Mowers, and we're thankful to them. And Russell, you got anything else before we go?
No, we probably went. I mean, there's more that could be said, but
There's
I
so
think
much
we
more.
probably expended enough time here. So
All right.
there's always another time.
Well, and there's comments so we can further the discussion with them, and you can always email us at otopnow, OTOPNOW, @gmail.com. We'll be happy to talk to you there as well. So for now, we want to always remind you, you don't have to be on topic. You can be off topic, but you got to be on
On
point.
point.
All right. We'll see you next time. Talk to you later, everybody. Bye. Thank you for listening today to Off Topic on Point. We want to remind you of our email address if you'd like to contact us. It's otopnow@gmail.com. That's otopnow@gmail.com. And as always, we want to leave you with this. It's okay to be off topic. Just make sure you're always on point. All right. We'll catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye.